Hello everyone, and welcome back to Tea Time Crochet. Today I'm going to be redoing a tutorial that I did back in October. I've gotten numerous requests and comments saying that they couldn't see the video very well because I used this darker yarn. This is my black cat hat, and I am quite surprised actually that it's such a popular, pattern. I've gotten tons of requests to have this tutorial redone. So that's what I'm going to do today. And I've also got a lot of questions about adding a face to it. So this week we're going to be doing the hat, and next week we will be working on adding a face to the hat. So I've chose some lighter yarn this time. To start off with, I did not write this pattern down, so I'm kind of just looking at what I've done and kind of just guessing at what I have, the tutorial that I've done here. So it may not be exactly the same as the original tutorial, so just keep that in mind. I may have a better version of it. But like I said, this is one of those ones that I just had it in my mind what I needed to do, and I didn't write it down. So I'm going to go ahead and go over the supplies you need. You're going to need some yarn. This is the yarn that I chose today. I hope that it's all right. It's a variegated yarn. It's a Red Heart Super Saver, but I cannot give you the color because it's something I've had in my stash for quite a while. So, but it's a variegated of blues and browns, and I just, decided this is what I wanted to use today. And it is a lighter color, so you shouldn't have any problem seeing it. You're going to need a head sizing chart. You can find this just by Googling it. That's exactly how I got this one. Keeping in mind that their measurements for things may not be accurate for every person. So like mine, it says I have a 21-inch head, so I could easily do a teen size hat. But it says that the height of the hat would be 9 to 10 inches. And for me, that's too long. I have to have an 8-inch hat. So just keeping that in mind, it's always best if you can measure the person that you're trying to make it for, or yourself. So to get the hat height, if you're not going to use a chart, you just measure from the crown of your head, like the center top part of your head, all the way to where you want it to lay. And I normally like mine to lay right below my ears. So you just have to measure that, and that'll get you the length that you need. So let's see if I can get this in the camera. So you would take your tape measure, and like from the center part of the head to down around where the ears are. I know my mannequin doesn't have ears, but just estimate where those would be. So like even for this mannequin, it would probably be 7.5 to 8 inches. So that would just be how you would measure for the length of the hat that you're making. I hope that you're able to see that. And then of course, you'll need to measure the circumference, which is the distance around. And you can, if you're making it for someone that you don't have the ability to measure them, or it's supposed to be a surprise, just get a chart and try and do the best that you can about deciding what size you need. So the other things that you're going to need are, I'm going to be using a 5mm crochet hook, because I know for my tension I need a 5mm crochet hook for any type of hat. You can just use, if you're not certain, you can just use whatever, so you could just use whatever hook that your yarn suggests. You're going to need a measuring tape, a pair of scissors, and a yarn needle with a large eye, and that's for hiding our tails. So to start off with, did I mention that this yarn is a worsted weight yarn? I'm not sure if I mentioned that, but any worsted weight yarn will work. So we're going to start off with a slip knot. And what we're going to do is we're going to chain the number of stitches that we need for the length of our hat. I would suggest, since crochet stretches quite a bit, you go 1/2 inch smaller than your head circumference. Unless you like your hats loose, then you just do whatever your head circumference is. So we're just going to chain. Oops. However many chains that is. And then you're just going to want to put your tape measure out so you can kind of judge how long you need it to be. So I'm going to go ahead and do that, and then I will meet up with you when I have all of my chains. Okay, so I have my chain, and it's roughly around 20.5 inches. So what we're going to do is we're going to make sure that our chain doesn't twist, and we're going to slip stitch to the beginning chain here, making sure that it's not twisted anywhere. And what I like to do is I just run my hand down the top part just to make sure that it's not curling or flipping over. And then we're going to slip stitch through this beginning chain. So just like that. Now, essentially we're working this hat backwards. We're working it from the brim up, which is, kind of an odd way to do it, but it's the best way that I find to get the cat ears the way that I like them to be. I like the cat ears to be pretty solid and whatnot. So now we're going to do 5 rows of single crochet. So we're going to chain 1 here, and we're going to go back into that first stitch there and put a single crochet, and then we're going to put 1 single crochet in every stitch around for a total of 5 rows. So just like this, and we're going to do that we're going to repeat that all the way around, and I will meet up with you when I have completed my last stitch. Okay, so I made it to my last stitch, and I'm just going to slip stitch to join in the top of this single crochet here. So just like that. So this is what you should have so far. So we're going to do 4 more rounds of this single crochet. So we're going to chain 1, and we're going to go right back into that first stitch and put a single crochet, and then 1 single crochet in every stitch around, for a total of 5 rounds. So I'm going to go ahead and go do that, and then I will meet up with you when I have completed all of my 5 rounds. Okay, I finished my 5 rows. That's not including our chain stitch row, so that's 5 single crochet rows. And now we're going to start the body of the hat. And I'm going to chain 1, and then I'm going to go back into that first stitch with a double crochet. So just like that. And that's going to be my beginning stitch for every round that we do. It makes a really nice seam. And then we're going to put 1 double crochet in every stitch all the way around. So just like that. And I'm just going to do that all the way around, and then I will meet up with you when I get back to my last stitch. Okay, so I back to my last stitch, and I'm going to slip stitch to join in the top of this double crochet here. Okay, so what we're going to do from here is we're just going to repeat that round until our hat gets the length that we need it to be. So mine will be 8 inches. I would go by your chart or by your measurement to however long that you need it to be. So just go ahead and repeat this round until your hat is where the length that you need it to be, and then I will meet up with you then. Okay, so I finished my double crochet section. I have a total of 12 rows, and I'll measure it real quick. It's slightly over 8 inches. Not quite 8.5, but so from here we're going to fasten off. If you can hear that noise, I had to add an extra heater in here because it's gotten quite cold where I live. We're getting in the negative degrees, and the wind is blowing on top of that, so it's quite cold. So I had to add an extra heater here in my craft room, and you might be able to hear it, you may not, I don't know, but I just wanted to let you know that that's what that noise is. And also, if you hear the wind blowing, that's also what that is. So I'm going to go ahead and hide this tail real quick, because the way that we're going to close this, we're not going to be able to crochet over it, so you'll just want to get your needle and thread your yarn on it, and I'm just going to run it down this stitch. Everyone has their own way of hiding their tails. This is just how I do it. So I like to just go along this section here It's like the bottom part of the crochet or the double crochet. So I'll go that way, and then I'll turn back, and that should secure it well enough for it not to fall out. And then I'm just going to cut that extra off. I'm not going to worry about the one on the bottom because we will be doing a row of single crochet there, and we will be able to go over that tail. Okay, so what I want to do is I want to, since you kind of have a seam, you know, that's about as good as it gets. Every crochet hat has a seam. It's, you know, just the best way that you can hide it, however you do this first stitch. But this one seems to work out fairly well. The seam's not as visible as other stitches that I've used. So I want to try and get that as even in the back as possible. And then I'm going to cut off a length of yarn, because we're going to be sewing the top shut. Okay, so I'm hoping that I can get this in the camera so you can actually see what I'm doing. Okay, so this is the top of our hat, and you can see this is the top of the stitch. You can see your V-stitches really well. So what we're going to be doing is we're going to be putting, let me get that focused. We're going to be threading our yarn through the outer legs of the V's. So the farthest one on this side and the farthest one on that side. So I'm just going to kind of start at this corner, and you know, it's kind of hard to see, but there's a V here and a V here. So I'm just going to take the leg of this V, and I'm going to put my yarn through it, and I'm going to leave a little bit of a tail at the end. You know, you want to be able to thread it through the inside and then tie it off. So I'm going to leave that much, and then I'm going to come over to this side, and I'm going to go through the outer leg of this side. And then we're going to go up to the next set of stitches. Hope that you're able to see that. And then I'm going to go through the outer leg of that one. And then the outer leg of this one. And we're just going to keep doing that all the way down. Making sure that you're, every couple inches, make sure that you pull your stitches tighter. And how you do that is you just grab this loose end, and then you just secure it so it's not going to pull. And then you just pull this one, and that will tighten this all up. I'm not really very far into it, so I don't have much to pull yet. So I'm just going to continue doing that all the way across. You want to make sure that you don't get your tail here knotted up in it. Man, that wind is really blowing. Okay, so I've gotten, you know, quite far, so I can just hold this right here and then just pull it, and that will neaten all that up really nicely, so all these stitches will be tighter, and you won't be able to see the seam as well. And that's why I chose to do it this way instead of just doing a single crochet bind off, because it makes it look like it's, you know, continuous all the way around. If I was to do a single crochet bind off here, it would kind of have that space where it doesn't look like it's, you know, meeting right. So I'm just going to continue this all the way across, making sure that I get both sides of the hat, and only going in these back loops. So your stitches should line up fairly well across from each other. If they don't, you can just adjust them to where, you know, they're pretty straight across. And then you're just going to continue doing that all the way to the end, and I will meet up with you when I have got to my last stitch to show you how to fasten off. Okay, I've made it back to my last stitch here. So I'm just going to go into this side of it, and then this side. And then I'm going to hold my tail over here, and I'm just going to give that a tug and see how that gives it a really nice seam. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to cut myself a longer bit of tail right there. And I'm going to reach inside the hat, and I'm going to thread my needle. And I'm just going to pull this tail to the inside of the hat. And I'm going to do the same thing on the other side. So just right at the point where it ended, I'm just going to pull that through. And then what I'm going to do is I'm just going to flip my hat inside out. And I'm going to thread my needle again. And I'm going to tie a little knot right here. And that's just going to secure that our seam doesn't come undone. So just like that. And then you can go back and just hide your tail. So just like that. And then I'm just going to cut it off. And I'm going to do the same for the other side. Just want to make sure that our seam doesn't unravel, because our hat will fall apart if it does. Okay, then we can flip our hat right side out again and make sure that you pull all your corners out for your ears. Make sure they're nice and pointy. And now we're going to work on the ear portion. So what I like to do is I like to fold my hat in half to where, you know, they're completely even. And I like to mark out where I'm going to put my ears. So you're just going to need some stitch markers. I normally just use paper clips because they're quick and easy. So you want to mark out on both sides of the hat where you would like your ears to be. Keeping in mind that you kind of need your hat to have this rounded shape for your head. So it's basically just this corner. So I am going to put a stitch marker here because this is where I want to start from. And then I'm going to put one on the other side just to remind me where I'm going. And then I'm going to seam across between this edge to this edge, straight across, and that will form our ear. If you want to stuff your ear, now would probably be a good time for that. Just keep in mind that you don't want to overstuff it so your stitches stretch, but you could add a little stuffing in there if you want. I'm not going to. I find that they stand up well enough on their own. So what I like to do is I like to just make sure that my corners are even. So just like that. And then I will take a stitch marker for the back side or the other ear, and I will mark it at the same spot as this one. And then I'll go to the top and mark this one as the same. That way my ears will be the same on both sides. It should be relatively the same size. I mean, you're seaming on top of crochet, so it's not going to be perfect, but you can get as close to the same size as you can. Okay, so you're going to need another length of yarn. It's always better to have more than less, especially if you've never done it before and you don't know how much you're going to be using. So you're just going to want to thread your needle, and we're going to start over here on the side, and this is just a basic stitch. We're just going to go in and out through the front and the back just to secure the ear portion. And I'm just going to come in right here, and as I'm doing it, I'm going to leave myself a decent tail, because I have to pull that through the center of the hat and secure it and then hide the tail, so I need, you know, quite a bit for that. And then I'm just going to keep in mind where I'm going, just a straight line from one side to the other. I'm just going to sew it back and forth. And this should blend right into your crochet fabric, so you don't have to really worry about that. You really won't see it. So just like that, and I'm just going to keep going until I meet my other stitch marker over here. I kind of want to hook through a stitch, like through the center of a stitch whenever possible, instead of going into the open spaces. It'll just be a little more secure. And there's my last stitch, so I'm just going to make sure I grab right there at the end. And then I'm just going to cut that off, leaving a longer tail. So here is our ear. So I'm going to remove the stitch marker now, and I'm going to thread this tail on my needle. And I'm just going to run it through to the center. If your stitch or your string is coming through a hole, just go over a little bit and go through a stitch. And we're just going to pull it through just like that. We're going to do the same thing in the top part. So just like that. And then we're going to do the same thing that we did for seaming up the top of the hat. We're just going to knot this off just to secure it, because our ears will come undone if this string comes out. So just like that. And then you can just hide your tail along the bottom seam of the ear right there. So just like that, and then just cut that off. And then we're going to do the same thing for the other side. And then we're just going to hide that tail. And that is your formed ear. So you're just going to repeat that for the other side. And then I'm just going to move on to the next step, and I'll just go back and do that later. So that is what your ear should look like. You can't even see the seam, but when you wear it, the ear will stick out. So the last thing that you need to do is you just need to, after you've taken care of your other side, the last thing that you need to do is just go back around this edge with a single crochet row. Okay, so I'm just going to attach my yarn here. I'm just going to do that with a little knot. And then I'm going to work over these tails as I go. I'm going to go back into that same stitch that I just attached my yarn into, and I'm going to pull through and chain 1. And I'm going to go back into that and then do a single crochet, and then put 1 single crochet in every stitch around. So go ahead and do that, and then I will meet up with you when I get to my last stitch. Okay, I've made it back to my last stitch here, and I'm just going to slip stitch to join in the beginning single crochet here. And then I'm just going to fasten off. So that is what your hat should look like. The only thing you'll need to do now is just hide this tail. But I think they're really cute, and I was really surprised how many people were really interested in this hat. I just, did it for one of my Halloween tutorials, and I didn't think that it was going to be so popular, but it is very popular. So I decided to go ahead and redo the tutorial. And next week I will be showing you how to add a face to it, because I've had a lot of questions about that too. So I'm just going to go ahead and do that. So stay tuned next week if you want to add a face to your cat hat. I think they're really cute, and I know my girls love them. So I'm pretty sure that, anybody who likes cats will like them. So thanks for watching. Have a great day.